Okay, nice easy last task to finish off is just to clear up the error handling for our basket component as well. And let's take a look at what we're currently doing, which is not very much. We're doing the same thing as we had inside the products or the catalog slice as well. Let's just make a couple of errors. That's going to affect our basket, or adding or removing an item from our basket. And we just want to add a couple of bad product IDs in both the add and the remove method, just to see what happens and make the appropriate adjustments when we encounter a problem. So let's go and take a look and see what happens if I just refresh the page. And I'll just open up the console and let's go and add something to the cart. And we're getting a 404 not found. We're getting a console log from the basket slice, and our basket has completely disappeared from the header here. So we've reset our basket somehow as well. And if we take a look at Redux to see exactly what happened here, then once again we're going into the fulfilled when we're adding an item to our basket, even though it failed completely. Same reason we had before, but if we take a look at the action here, because we're adding an item, that means we're getting something back from the server, or we're relying on our server sending something back. So let's take a look at the action itself and see what we are sending. And of course it's nothing, because in our method we caught the error and we're not sending a basket. But in the async thunk action, we're now sending nothing. So when we update our state, and if we look at the difference here, we can see that our basket is just being wiped out. It's being set to nothing. And clearly that's a problem. So let's go and clean this up as well. Although I did notice that we're getting a not found from this response. I don't know if I like that as a response actually for this one. I think I'd prefer to have a bad request when a user somehow manages to send up a bad ID in this case. It's technically not possible. So it's, or at least not possible from our user interface. It's entirely possible from Swagger to send up a bad product ID, but not from our user interface. It would be tricky for them to do so. But of course, users are capable of anything, so we'll defend against that. But I'm going to go to the basket controller in the API. I'm going to make an adjustment inside there. And where we're adding the item to the basket, I don't like this return not found. And instead, I'm going to change it to a return bad request. And I'm going to pass in a new problem details and give it a title. And I'm going to set it to product not found. And the difference here is because we're handling this type of request in our Axios interceptor, and I just need to add a closing semicolon here. But because we're handling this inside our interceptor, we're going to display a toast when the user attempts to do this. And that's fine. It's like I say, it's probably not really realistic that they're ever going to encounter this error. Certainly not from our user interface. They could encounter this one for sure, but not this one necessarily. But anyway, it's good for us to just go and test this functionality. And if I just refresh again, and we load our products and add to cart, this time we get the product not found. Obviously we've wiped out our basket once again, so we still need to handle the error. We're not currently doing that. And inside the basket slice, let's go do what we need to do to fix that. So as our second parameter, we've got an object with our first parameters. And then we can use the func API once again. And same as we've done before, we're just going to return the func API dot reject with value, and we'll specify the error. And we'll just set this to error.data once again. And also, we'll do a similar thing again. We're just going to set the rejected and pass in the action again. And we'll just set the console.log, and we'll specify action.payload, which will include the error because we're passing that as the payload here. So that's that one taken care of. Let's go and take a look at the other one, the remove item, and see what's currently happening. And we'll go to the basket page, we'll try and remove an item, and we get the problem removing item from the basket. Because we're not actually updating our basket directly, and if we keep clicking, notice that the basket item is being removed from our user interface, even though we're not actually removing it from the API. And it's also displaying that way on the user interface, again, because we're not handling the error. So, of course, we need to reject the remove item error as well. And let's go ahead and do that. And we'll get access to that Thunk API once again. And we'll return Thunk API. And we'll say reject with value. And we'll specify the error. And we'll just say error.data once again. And back down in the cases, we've got our remove basket item rejected. Let's get the action. And we'll just specify console.log and action.payload. And the error should be available inside there. So let's go take a look and refresh the page once again. And make sure that when we do click minus, we're not updating our header and we're getting the rejected inside here. And we can see our error, we get the status, problem removing item, and everything looks good from that point of view as well. So now we've got our application fully functional, working in Redux. And hopefully you've started to appreciate the power of Redux and how we're using it inside here. I do really recommend, it's a big topic, Redux, and I'd certainly recommend taking a look at the documentation just to review after this, the kind of things that we've used it for and what we've done. This will help you understand the concepts that we're using here. And I just want to take a look at the console before we save our changes, because this is the last lesson in this section. I'll just refresh the page. And let's go and do a couple of things. I'm just going to add a product. I'm glad I checked now, thinking about it, because I forgot to reset the agent file before I moved on. And we want to set this back to the product IDs, of course, in this case. And let's just refresh the page. I nearly saved all of my changes with those two glaring errors there. So thankfully I caught that before it went. And let's just check the functionality here as well. Yeah, everything's looking good, and we've got our catalog, everything's working marvelously. So now we can go and save our changes into source control. And let's see, I'm just going to stage all of the changes. I'll add the commit message and say end of section 7. And use Command and Enter to commit them, and then we're going to go ahead and push these changes on up to GitHub. Marvelous. And we'll wrap this up with a summary.